Okay, in this video, we're going to be detailing the three levels of a gym and to be able to identify at what stage you are in your gym journey. And then we're also going to be going over leveraging mechanisms, and I'll explain what I mean by mechanisms in a bit, but more particular, just the clear identification and steps and the way we need to think about our business going from pain point to satisfaction in a customer journey as well as our own business, right? So without further ado, let's get ahead. So this video is for gym owners. Specifically, I'm going to be tailoring this towards martial art, fitness-based, Pilates, yoga studios in particular. So if you're not one of those, unfortunately, this video isn't really for you, but you may still be able to gain some insights into it, okay? Because business is universal. But in saying that, there's three levels of a gym. You've got level one, two, three. Okay, let's have a look. Level one gyms is anything that is less than 150 members or so. You're doing less than about $20,000 a month in revenue. Staff, you're mainly the sole person here. Okay, you've got it yourself, kind of managing, being the manager. You're wearing multiple hats in the business. You may have a couple trainers and stuff, a couple coaches, and here your main problem is client acquisition. Okay, level two gym. You're less than 250 members. You're doing less than 50,000 a month in revenue. You may have a manager at this point, trainers, but your main problems here are client acquisition and churn starting to become a problem, right? So if we're churning 5% at 200 members, right? That's what 10 people a month that are leaving, if my math is right. This is when it's starting to become a problem. You can see here that say even a 10% churn at 150 members is 15 people versus at 250 it's now 25 people. So churn becomes a bigger problem, especially if we're churning 10% at 1,000 members. Well, guess what? We're losing 100 members a month. Now, ideally, we want that churn to be around 2-3%. Okay, but that's for another video. As you can see here, when we begin to scale to say less than 400 members or so, or a bit more than 400 members, whatever it is, again, these are just rough guidelines that we're going off here for the purpose of this video. You may be doing, a bit more than 50K a month in revenue. Here we hopefully have a manager. You're kind of a bit more out of the business. You've got proper systems, processes in place. You've got a reception, sales team. You've got coaches looking after the classes. But here your main problem is churn. Okay. Obviously now at 400 members, if we're churning at say 10%, that's 40 members a month. Okay. Scaling is going to be an issue. Okay. And hiring talented staff. Okay. So again, this is just very abstract thinking here, but it's important we kind of identify at what stage we're at, and then you'll see in a sec when we talk about the leveraging mechanisms, it's important we understand where we're at and where we want to get to. Okay? So when we can identify the life cycle of our business, we can then provide solutions for the most urgent problem. Okay? And this point, I'm going to highlight here, make it very obvious. Okay? There we go. We want to identify where we're at so we can provide solutions for the most urgent problem. Okay? You'll see in a sec why. So what do I mean by leveraging mechanisms? Well, you want to design a high valued solution. And having spoken with thousands of gym owners, okay, I know you guys give a good service and you pride yourselves on it, okay? But it's important that that's a prerequisite to this. We then want to solve for product market fit, okay? Product market fit. Okay? So when you design a high valued solution and solve for product market fit, that is when you understand the gap between where your member, where your lead, where your prospect currently is and where they want to go to. Okay? You solve for the pain point, okay? And then where they want to go to is the desire, okay? The quicker you can understand this notion and this way of thinking, the quicker you are going to be able to scale your business, okay? If you're at a level one gym, you'll be able to get to a level two. If you're at a level two, you'll get to a level three. If you're at a level three, go beyond, okay? This is universal. the quicker you provide a solution that fits the market, that fits your ideal customer, and you solve the gap between where your customer currently is and where they want to get to, that's when you can start building a profitable business, okay? Only then can you do that. And there's different stages to that. That's why it's important to earlier we identified where we're at. We'll come back to this notion in a bit, but there's going to be many gaps, and each gap, each pain point represents a problem that stands in the way of their desired situation, of the goals they've set, and the emotions that they're currently experiencing associated to that goal, associated to that pain point. Now, if this sounds a bit wish-washy for a bit, and maybe this is the first time you've kind of heard about this stuff, then hang on with me for a sec. Okay, I'll get into it, but it's just important we frame what we're about to discuss first. It is your job as a business and as a value-based service and product to fill the gap between their current problems to their desired goals. It's your job to build that bridge, okay? Currently, there is a gap. There is no bridge. There is no infrastructure, okay? This is all metaphorical, but I hope you're following along. And I'll explain very simply. If someone is overweight, they are experiencing problems. Obviously unhealthy. They're not confident in themselves. They may not be able to run around with the kids. Again, I'm just throwing examples out here. But then they've also got a desire. They want to have a six-pack. They want to feel better in their body. They want to be able to run around with the kids, okay? And it's important that for each ideal customer persona, there's going to be different problems and different goals, okay? And that's where it comes back to solving for product market fit. But again, I don't want to jump the gun. We'll get into all this in a bit, and it's going to make perfect sense, okay? To fill the gap, you need to provide either a unique or a value-based mechanism to solve each of the problems along the way, okay? It's important to note that at what point does the responsibility also lie? Is it on you? Is it on the customer? Like, you hear this quote a lot. You can guide a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Now, what do I mean by a mechanism to solve each of the problem? A mechanism, and what this video is about is leveraging mechanisms to solve the gap, to build the bridge. How do we build the bridge, okay? Very simply, if someone wants to lose weight, okay, they're in that pain and they've got the desire of getting a six-pack. The most fucking simple thing we can think of, right? Keep it nice and easy. Well, there's steps, there's gaps that we've got to solve to get to the end outcome. The same way, if we're using a martial arts example, someone may come in and their pain point may be self-confidence. They want to learn a bit of self-defense, and their goal may be they want to become a black belt, okay? You guys know that there are steps in between that, okay? You don't just get to the thing. These are the mechanisms, okay? These are the things that we've got to be able to solve along the way, and it is your responsibility and the responsibility of the client, okay, the customer, to do the mechanisms along the way. That's why it's important we also identify where the responsibility lies, okay? Going back on the example of the mechanisms, in order to get a six-pack, if you're overweight, you've got to be in a calorie deficit. You've got to exercise. You've got to potentially track calories, okay? These are all different mechanisms that are involved in the process to fill the gap. I hope we're really understanding the point here. There's a pain, there's a desire, there's a gap, and I'll illustrate this in a second so it makes a bit more sense. Once all the gaps are solved, and only when the gaps are solved, can you coherently hit the prospect's desired state and desired goal. When the desired state is hit, it is a matter of improving the mechanisms, which are the solutions to the problem, or put simply, your fucking service. All right, let's get into it. Now, before I go any further, we've got a document here that myself and Hugo have all about finding and validating product market fit and building a minimum viable product and mechanisms here, okay? So as you can see, it's very, 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 very extensive, okay? We spent a lot of weeks building this out. And the whole point we actually built this out was, having worked with 50 plus gyms and stuff in the last year alone, we wanted to be able to figure out for ourselves the product market fit and what are the mechanisms that are required to go and assist and partner with gyms that have a pain point, whether that's member acquisition, not growing, not getting enough revenue, the personal problems with running a business, all the way until becoming a successful business. And that's the stuff we went through here is all this, okay? The value of a fitness business and the North Star, okay? So again, you want to identify clear niche, clear mechanisms, clear access channels, clear price, the transformation, etc. But again, this is for another video that's very in-depth there. But if you're after this document, just DM our Instagram page, Zeron Marketing, with the word PMF, which stands for Product Market Fit. And we'll send through the recording of this video, all of this stuff here, as well as that thing there, okay? Now, I understand most people are visual learners. I'm a bit of a visual learner myself, so let's kind of explain it a bit. What am I actually talking about here? Okay, Sam, let's get to the fucking point. So, this is an abstract model. We've got the initial situation in red. That is the pain point. This is they have the goal, they have the pain. This is where they're currently at, okay? In order to get to the desired situation, there's a gap, okay? You know what I was saying here? And what I was going about here is that there is mechanisms in which we need to fill to get to that gap, okay? There's problems along the way as well. And once you finish one problem, there's usually going to be another problem. So let's take example, the getting fit in a six-pack. It's not just a case of doing some exercise, okay? If it was, then that gap would be small, okay? It would look something like this. All right, yep, if you want to get a six-pack, all you got to do is exercise 10 minutes a day and you're there. But we know that's not the case, okay? We know there's multiple steps, there's multiple problems, and there's multiple gaps. We've got to build a longer bridge, okay? So you've got to identify at what stage does the responsibility lie. Is it on you? Is it on the client? Is it a joint effort? Okay, and what is the solution and mechanism? Okay, I know this is a bit abstract, so take for example, how to scale a gym. Okay, this is the solution for gym businesses to grow, and this is very abstract. This is very high level. I understand there's intricate details here, but let's keep it high level for now. You may be a level 1 gym, or you may just be starting a gym, okay? You could be a level 3 gym wanting to go to a level 10 gym, okay? Doesn't matter where you're at. Everyone has current problems. Doesn't matter if you're at 1,000 members, you still have problems, okay? I know this because we work with them, okay? It's very easy to think, oh, once you're at making $1 million a year that you don't have any problems. Far from it. If anything, the problems become bigger, okay? But you're better off having problems with money than problems with no money, or problems with lots of members than problems with no members, okay? Irrelevant of the point, this is the transformation process. So, we need a product market fit. We need lead gen, we need lead nurturing, sales retention, and other frameworks. Let's go through it all. What is product market fit? Well, product market fit is all of these things. These are all the solutions that fit under product market fit. You need to identify a clear niche. Who are you targeting? Who is your ideal customer? Is it men? Is it women? Is it all of them? Okay. If you're for the most part, most gyms do target all of them, but it's important we get specific on the different requirements of those niches and of that target audience. I'm going to link below a video explaining very in-depth about all of this, okay? So don't worry about that for now. If you're interested in how to identify product market fit, that will be a separate video. Then you want a clear offer. What is your transformation? How are you going to paint the picture in the prospect's mind between current situation and desired situation? There's obviously price. Price is just an exchange of value, okay? Again, another video. What is the mechanism, okay? What are the solutions to the problems, and how do we go about validating that? How do we know that that's the right solution, okay? And then access channel. How do we know that we're marketing to the correct people, doing about it the right way? How do we validate that process, okay? There are all steps here. You can see it's not just product market fit, there's steps underneath. What about lead gen? Well, you've got to generate attention. You've got to educate attention. You've got to own the attention. You've got to scale the channel in which you generate that attention and capture that attention. You've got to have different channels. You've got to have paid. You've got to have organic. It's a framework, right? There's different mechanisms to solve the problem. The problem is lead gen. There are mechanisms below that you need to solve. How about once we generate the attention? How about once we capture the attention? What are we doing then? Well, we've got to convert the attention into bookings. We've got to convert the attention into memberships, okay? There's no point just getting 100 leads and we don't know what the fuck to do with them, okay? This is where you often hear people saying, these leads are tire kickers and shit. No, it's because you've missed out on the lead nurturing process, okay? You haven't converted the attention. How do we nurture these leads into booking? How do we get these leads to show up? How do we offer something that is valuable? How do we validate that offer? How do we validate that transformation? Okay? You can see if we're not doing these things correctly, then we can't do the rest of it. It's a process, okay? We don't just go from, going back on the example, you don't just go from fat to a six-pack right away. There's a process. It's your job as a business owner to validate the mechanisms and solve the gap, okay? I hope this is making a bit more sense. How are we tracking it? Are we tracking it through a CRM? Are we tracking the data? It's all about inputs, outputs, feedback, results. Okay, results, feedback. All right, it's a process. What about sales? Are we objection handling? Are we following a sales framework? Is everyone on the team aware and on the same page about the framework, about the process? Okay? Scaling any business is simple with systems. It's simple when you've validated things, when you have a clear answer to every problem, okay? And each time a new problem comes up, you validate, you use data, you get feedback on the results, you add it, okay? How do I know all this? Because we've gone through the process, okay? We didn't start off doing this for everything, and there's still things we don't know, okay? No one's perfect. No one's perfect. If you were, you'd be a billionaire. If you'd be off sipping margaritas in Mexico, fucking somewhere, but you're not, okay? Not that that's everyone's goal anyway, it's certainly not mine, but getting back to the point. Are you doing retention? Are you tracking numbers? Are you keeping personalized accountability of your members? Are your members satisfied? Have you surveyed them? Have you asked for feedback? Are you getting referrals? Are you getting testimonials? Okay? Again, when you're scaling, when you're at the more of the pointy end of the thing, are you upgrading facilities? Are you upgrading equipment? Are you looking for new locations? Are you franchising? Are you increasing the number of classes? Are you hiring talented staff? Okay? One of the biggest constraints in any business is yourself. If you're not hiring staff, if you're not outsourcing things, if you're doing everything yourself, you're fucked. How the fuck are you meant to do all this shit and then run a gym on top of it? It's hard. It's hard. Okay? We do this as a full-time job. I can't imagine them running and doing classes on top of all this. Okay? You need to learn to outsource and to let yourself go from certain tasks and allow you to focus on the things that are going to drive the needle forward in the business. For example, within our business, we don't do lead nurturing ourselves anymore, okay? We don't do sales anymore. We don't do the lead gen ourselves anymore, okay? To an extent, yes, we're involved in the process, of course, but we have salespeople. We have people doing fulfillment, okay? How the hell are we meant to scale as a business if I'm sat here crunching the numbers 24/7 a day doing the admin tasks in the business? You need to expect the same and hold the same level of self-accountability to yourself. Otherwise, you're just stuck here, okay? Notice here the staff, there's owner, there's a manager, there's a sales, there's a trainer, and that's why they're at a level 3 gym. The reason you may potentially be at a level 1 gym is you're doing everything yourself, okay? And you don't have a process. You haven't validated this. If you're being honest with yourself, okay? Did you even know this stuff? Maybe you did. Are you acting on it is a different thing. Okay? Really important we drive this home. Okay? Example, solution for a person becoming a member. And again, this is very, very, very basic here, but they're unhappy about their situation. They know they need to make a change. They reach out, they inquire to your gym. They do the class, they come in, they give it a go. They become a member. They see the value. They see the vision. They're starting to see that desired state, okay? They're starting to see that, fuck, I can get there, okay? That's because this process happened, okay? All of this. Then they become a long-lasting member. They're happy, you're happy. But notice that there's a gap, okay? And it's so important we're driving this home. All right, again, just to reiterate, it is your job to design a product, design a service that solves for product market fit. You need to understand that there's a gap, okay? There's an initial situation and there's a desired situation, and there's problems that stand in the way. It is your job to provide a solution to these problems and clearly identify where the responsibility lies, okay? It's just a hot take. Big tip. Where does the responsibility lie? Is it on you or is it on the client? Okay, and have clear expectations around that. There's many gaps. Each gap represents a problem and it stands in the way. If we can solve that problem through value-based mechanisms, solutions, then we are able to solve the problems of the client. And once all those gaps are solved, and only then can we coherently hit the prospect's desired state. And you know what happens when you hit the desired state? You give a shit ton of value. And what is value? And what is a offset of value? It's money. Okay? Money is value. It's the exchange of value. Okay? When you pay someone for something, this person is paying you to get in shape. Okay? That is the value. It's an exchange. Okay? If you want this thing here, this little scribbly board that we've built out, if you want this document here, okay? If you want all of this, if you want to understand behind it, if you want to actually know how to do this yourself, you can see this sheet here. If you want this sheet here that we use that clearly identifies the niche, okay? Is it teens? Is it women? Is it men? What's their age range? What's their common interests? What are they interested in? What's the target size? How easily can we find them? What are their desired goals? What are they doing? Like, what's their current state? What are they currently feeling at the moment? What are their top 5 problems? What trends are happening in the market? What can we do to make a transformation? Can we guarantee that transformation? What are we currently charging them? How much can we charge them? What are the different pricing models? What are the different solutions and mechanisms that we can implement here? Okay? Clearly have these set out. If you don't have these set out, then how the fuck are you meant to deliver a good result? You may have it in your head, okay? That's one thing. Clearly writing it out and validating it and seeing where the problems and constraints lie is the key to scaling your business, okay? How can you provide points of differentiation? Are you a commodity in the marketplace, or are you going to be the person that stands out, okay? Have you got case studies? Have you got a clear before and after within a certain time frame, within a shortened time frame, to the quickest possible way that these people can get from their current situation to their desired situation? Okay? What are the frequently asked questions? What are the frequently objections? Okay? What are the objections which need to be handled so that we can close the thing? Okay? If you want this sheet, okay, comment down below and we'll send it through. DM us on Instagram here. But I hope you can see the importance of solving the gap. Okay? The same way. This is what we do for our clients. We do a done for you thing. We figure out what the product market fit is. We do a completely done for you lead generation. We do a completely done for you lead nurturing. We coach you on sales and sales frameworks and implementations. We coach you on how to retain members, and we give you and help you with the systems to scale your business so that you can get to a level 3 and beyond gym. That is our product. That is our service, because we have gone through the fucking thing to be able to do that. And it's only when you do this can you get your target customer, your ideal customers, to their desired state. And with that, long, happy, lasting relationships, more money, better growth, and a happier you. Take it easy.